What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another week of Premier League predictions. We are now virtual once again, separated, but we're going into what week is this? I didn't even.
14.
Week 14. We've made it almost halfway, and we got a lot of
Yeah.
Premier League football coming up, so we're going to be getting a lot of predictions out, and then later on, hopefully covering some Champions League in the coming after in the new year, but. Let's get started with the Arsenal versus Wolves prediction.
Yes, this is going to be an interesting game because Wolves have had a tendency to perform really well against big clubs like Arsenal, and I think that it's really going to make a difference in this game, and we'll see how both teams can really perform in this. Arsenal's been doing well this season. They've taken back the top of the table with a 1-0 win over Brentford last week. You have
Scary.
Wolves
Scary
who
one
took a
nothing win.
what?
Scary last second. 1-0 win.
Oh yeah.
Had me
Yeah,
sweating.
Wolves took a 2-3 loss to Fulham last week. So you have a Wolves team who has the tendency to really outperform what they're expected to, especially against big clubs, and you have an Arsenal team that's taken back the top of the table and is playing really well recently. So I think it's going to be a really good game to see. I think between these two teams, though, I'm going to take the consistency of Arsenal over the sporadic, greatness that Wolves has.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the
So I'm going to take an
same.
Arsenal win.
All right, I'm gonna go the same route there with an Arsenal win. Didn't really like the way Arsenal looked. Who did they play again?
Brentford.
Oh, that's right, Brentford. Brentford's defense kind of hunkered down, and Arsenal struggled pretty for the most of that game. They did have a goal that went in, and then it got called back on VAR. But I don't know. The Wolves could. This could go any way. The Wolves are just a wild card team, so I mean that's exciting for the Wolves fans. They have a lot to look forward to every match. They're contenders every game, but like you, I'm just gonna have to go with the Arsenal consistency. So Arsenal's my pick. But moving on, Brentford versus Luton, and after seeing Brentford's defense last week, this is gonna be a struggle for Luton.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. With Brentford taking the 1-0 loss to Arsenal last week and Luton taking a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace, I think both of these teams have a lot to prove. I think that Luton, like we've been saying for the past few weeks, has continually gotten better and better and better, and I think that's going to continue because I'm not seeing any signs that's going to stop. On the other side, you got Brentford, who kind of took a who hunkered down, like you said, and took a good game against Arsenal, considering who they were playing. And I think that in general, Brentford have been playing well. They need to, continue to solidify a couple of things and then get the attack rolling some more. But I think other than that, Brentford's been doing all right so far. So I think this is going to be a really interesting match just to see kind of how this plays out. I'm not entirely sure as to the result, though. I think that it's going to be really interesting as to whether or not Brentford takes that more hunkered down approach like they did against Arsenal, which you kind of have to do against a really good attacking team like Arsenal, or whether they're going to, release a little bit on the defense and then push a little more on the offense and see what happens there. I think it's going to be an interesting match to see. I think it's probably going to lead to some goals for both teams. I think in the end I'm going to take a draw though.
That's a solid shout. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's in Brentford, and the way Brentford's defense is playing and getting behind, playing for the fans. The fans are getting behind the players. I'm just gonna have to go with Brentford after what I saw. Doesn't mean it's gonna reciprocate this week, but it's just how I feel. So
Yeah.
moving on, we got Burnley and Sheffield United.
Yeah, I got no clue. I'm gonna just be straight up with you. I got no clue. You have Burnley who put up a goal against West Ham last week in the 1-2 loss to West Ham. So I mean, they did show a sign of life, but Burnley's been having a real low year this year, and it's really tough to see. But I mean, it's gonna happen to somebody. Sheffield, on the other hand, they got a goal against Bournemouth. They took a 3-0 or a 3-1 loss against Bournemouth last week. So both of these teams are coming off of down weeks, and I think that they're going to come in here, and I think this is the game for both of them to compete for. I think that between the two teams, both of them are going to be playing to make a difference, to spark something to get going and to continue. I think that though between these two teams, I think I prefer the midfield and the attack of Sheffield over Burnley's general squad. So I think in general it's going to be tough to tell, but I think Sheffield's probably going to take a win, but I think this game can go anyway. It just depends on how these teams come out and how they want to play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just kind of with a little bit of momentum, they took the 3-1 loss against Bournemouth. Didn't look good for Sheffield, but before that, they had beat the Wolves and took a draw with Brighton. And Burnley just kind of looks dead to me, so I'm going Sheffield United.
Yeah, fair enough.
You went Sheffield too, right?
Yep.
All right. Moving on, we got Nottingham Forest versus the oh so controversy Everton right now.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I don't think that there's a lot to go off of here. So Everton took a 3-0 loss to Man United. I want to touch on that later when we talk about United, but in general, Everton, you know, they showed up, but it wasn't the best performance from them. They had a good, streak of games, and they were feeling they were playing pretty well, and then they lost the points, and there's kind of been that down streak since. But honestly, right now, what you're looking at is an Everton squad that had a streak and has kind of lost their way, and you really got to see whether or not they're going to pick it back up or not. But it's tough to tell. They're going up against the Nottingham team who's been playing well recently. They took a 2-3 loss to Brighton. It was a decent showing from both teams. I think both of them had their opportunities and made mistakes and had every chance to win that game. And I think that Nottingham's been playing well in general as a pretty bang average team right now. So I think it's really going to tell whether or not Everton's going to kind of stay in their slump or whether Nottingham's just going to keep the consistency rolling. And like I said with Arsenal, I think consistency is just what people need right now, and I think that that's what Nottingham's going to give you. So I think Nottingham's going to take the win.
Dang. You're going Nottingham. I'm going with the boys in blue. Everton's going to get it back on track this week.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
All right. Moving on, we got a big matchup here. Seems like Newcastle's always brought up in a big matchup, but Newcastle versus Man United. Man United kind of showing us a little something last weekend.
Yeah, so United, like we said, took the 3-0 win over Everton. It was a good win for them. It was one of the greatest bicycle kicks I've seen in a very long time, and can arguably be brought up in the conversation for goal of the year so far because that was amazing. But and it was a great way to start off the game. But I think that United have gotten a spark back. They've been playing better consistently. I think what I've been saying in the past is they've had good players consistently, start to perform, start to bring the team up with them. But, they haven't quite had enough of the players at once to push themselves forward. And I think what you saw in the last game, it was against Everton. So it wasn't against, one of the greatest teams of all time. But it was against an Everton team that was winning consistently for a while. They came in. They had enough players come in, make a difference, push the team forward. And I think that's really what you need for United right now. I think if you look at Newcastle, who took a really nice performance last week, 4-1 over Chelsea. You're looking at a Newcastle squad that's just been performing very well, and I think that they have the ability to compete with anybody. I know we say that about a lot of clubs, but they are especially in that conversation of, hey, they can perform with anybody, and it just really depends on the day. I think that what you're going to look at here is whether or not you're going to get the consistent amount of players on United to push them forward or not, or whether Newcastle is just going to keep playing their high caliber game. And I hate to do it again, but consistency is everything right now. And I think that the consistency and high performance of Newcastle right now is just tough to beat. And I think that they're going to take the win.
Whoa. Man United's turning it around, Eric. Come on.
They are turning it around, but until I see otherwise, I'm gonna take Newcastle.
Well, big names like Rashford and Martial scored, so that's good for them.
Yep.
I think they're going to continue it going against Newcastle. Where's this? Do you know where they're playing at?
I believe it's in Newcastle, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I'm going Manchester United no matter what. I got Man U.
All right, good luck.
All right, moving on. We got Bournemouth coming off a good win versus Aston Villa, who's also top team this year.
So Bournemouth took the 3-1 over Sheffield. Good performance from them. They've been playing well recently, and I think that they're having a good showing right now, and I think that it's for them just about keeping things rolling and moving forward. I think that, you conceded one goal against Sheffield. It happens. You concede a goal here and there. But I think they lock up the defense a little bit more. clean up a couple of mistakes, and they got it. I think that the offense has been doing really well, and like they have the ability to get forward and attack, and that's really what they're gunning with right now, and it's good for them. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Bournemouth. Unfortunately, they are going up against a powerhouse in Villa, who took a 2-1 win over Spurs.
That was good.
That was a really good showing from Villa. That was a really good win that they needed, and I think that really solidifying their place in the top 5 right now is really good. And I think that Villa is just playing at a high, level of gameplay right now, and it's just really good to see from them. I think that in the game against Bournemouth, it's really going to depend on whether or not Bournemouth can clean up their mistakes, but I still don't think it's going to be quite enough to compete with Aston Villa, so I'm going to take a Villa win.
There we go. I got the same thing. I don't think Villa's going to drop against Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth's been playing decently in the past few matches. I think Villa's just going to be too much for them. Moving on, we got Chelsea versus Brighton. Who in the heck knows what this is going to be? So I'm just taking a draw. I'm not even going to debate it, dude.
It's a fair enough assumption. I mean, Chelsea has their, ups and downs and their, crazy games. The 4-4 with City, the 4-1 against Newcastle. Apparently Chelsea has something about fours, but, we're just here watching the games. I don't know what's going to happen, if I'm being entirely honest. You have Brighton, who's coming off of a 3-2 win against Nottingham Forest. They've been playing well, but Brighton also has had a couple of games where they just haven't entirely gotten their stuff together. Chelsea's also down a man after getting a red card in the last match. So I think that, with all these things combined, as well as the fact that Chelsea just, has a tendency to, have their breakout week and then slump down for 2 weeks and kind of cool down, I think that they're still going to be on the cool down. So I'm going to take a Brighton win.
Hey, Brighton win. All right. Moving on, we got Liverpool versus Fulham. This should be a Liverpool lock, right?
I would say yes. I think that the way Liverpool's been playing, especially Van Dijk, he's having a breakout season right now. It's tough to say no to them. Fulham did take the 3-2 win over Wolves, though, last week, so they have, shown some good signs, and I think that it's something to really consider. But you have Liverpool, who are coming in after the 1-1 draw with City, which was a good showing. Trent came in, he performed well. They, kept Haaland to 1 goal, and they, played the game. And I think all you can really ask for in that match is a draw, and I think that they got what they needed. So I think in this match, you're going to come back. It's still going to be, a high-quality game. I think that Liverpool is just going to outperform them a little bit, just, player to player. But I think that Fulham definitely has the potential to come through, make a couple of plays, and definitely give Liverpool a scare. But I think that with the lock in the defense that Van Dijk has been, and the ability that the team's been having to get the ball up, especially late in the game, but they really need to start bringing that back sooner. They need to stop waiting till the last minute to get a goal. But I think if Liverpool can put up an early goal, I think they got it. So I'm going to take a Liverpool win.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Liverpool win. Just how they've been performing, I don't think they're going to drop against Fulham. Moving on, we got West Ham, who had a thriller. Luckily, I was not watching it live. I probably would have had a heart attack. Versus Crystal Palace.
Yeah, so West Ham took the 2-1 win over Burnley. Not their best showing, but they took the win, and that's all that matters in the end. They got the goal, had the draw, and then went all the way to the end and got the late winner. But, that's all you can really ask for in your team. Crystal Palace did lose to Luton last week 2-1, but Crystal Palace is a team that has that really, electric energy when they get on the pitch. They go in, they make plays, they'll catch you out, and you really got to worry about it. And I think that in this match, you have a West Ham team that has a good defense and has the ability to kind of lock down if they need to. And I think that they're really going to start to plan for that counter-attacking and that speedy, Crystal Palace offense. I think that they're just going to kind of play it a little slower and play their game. I think that it's really going to come down to midfields in this game and see what happens. But I also think that the keepers and the defense are really going to have to play at a high quality to keep the score down. I'm not entirely sure, though, but I think if West Ham can lock up the defense, I think they got it. It's all going to come down to that. I think it's really going to come down to who scores first. And I know that, that always makes a difference. But I think early in the game, you're really going to see what happens. And if somebody scores within the first 10 minutes, I think it's really going to set the pace. but I think it could have the chance to be either, an early score and a blowout or the chance to go the long haul. But I think I'm going to take West Ham.
Yeah, I'm also going to go West Ham. But how crazy was it, though? Last week, they scored in the 86th minute on an own goal. And then the first minute of additional time, stoppage time, to win. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I think I'm going to just go West Ham. It could go either way, but I'm going West Ham.
Yep.
And then finally, we have our big bloody battle: Man City versus Tottenham Spurs.
Yeah, so City Spurs, it's a rough game. Honestly, City with the 1-1 draw against Liverpool and the way they've been playing this season, I'm not gonna lie. I think they're just gonna take this one pretty simply. Spurs took a 2-1 loss to Villa. If you look at it, I think City's a better team than Villa. I think that City will probably beat Spurs, but I think it's really just going to depend. Spurs didn't lock down Villa and they gave up a couple of goals, and that's what bit them. I think that, City is going to apply the pressure and they're going to keep going. I don't know if Spurs is going to be able to lock down the City, the City attack. And I think that it's going to be, really interesting to see what happens, especially with Spurs having a nice explosive offense and, the ability to get back on the counter attack and make chances. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough if they can't lock down, City. I think City's going to take the win in the end, but I think there's room for both teams to really perform in this game.
Yeah, I think City should take the win. They're going to be at home, but I think it is important to note that City has kind of struggled with Tottenham with they're 2-3 against Tottenham in the last 5. But I don't know. I think they're going to mollywop Tottenham, honestly. Tottenham's going to get exposed. I got Man City.
Yep, we'll see.
All right. That wraps up our, week 14 picks?
Yep.
So hopefully we have a good week in other areas of the games and predictions as well, and on here. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any predictions of your own or comments, let us know down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this week's matches or anything you have to share with us. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in next week's video.
See you.